welcome back to the Mind and Money Podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner. And today we are talking about things we spend little to no money on in our day-to-day lives. So Sherry, start us off. What is something that you spend little to no money on?
This is going to make me sound like the biggest no fun dud, but I personally do not spend any money on alcohol or recreational drugs. I always not drank, but when I did, we have addictive personalities and that can be bad for alcohol. And the older I got, the more days I felt like shit. So I just decided, why do I want, I don't enjoy the taste of alcohol. So it's not something that I missed, and I don't miss the 3 or 4 day hangover. What about you, Val? What's something that's on the top of your list that you don't spend money on?
Also echo you with the alcohol. And that is a huge one. That's a huge piece of your budget if you are spending money on it. Super, super expensive. But the one thing that I have on here is coffees out. And I preface this with saying daily coffees out. So if I meet with a client at a coffee shop, I'd love to keep it as local as possible to that area, but I'm not going through the drive-thru every day. I make coffees at home. You introduced me to protein coffees, which has been an awesome little game changer in the morning. So maybe an average of maybe 4 coffees out a month. So a daily drive-thru. And it's so much more fun when you can experiment at home. I know it's not as convenient, but you're also saving so much money in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're very similar in our values with that too. Like if I'm having a coffee out, I'm meeting somebody there. I'm having a work chat or a casual chat or a catch up. It's not just going through the drive-through. And I love experimenting with my coffees at home. And I've shared before that I invested last year in an espresso machine and I love it. And I'm able to duplicate my favorite drink from Starbucks. So why would I want to put pants on and leave the house if I can make something that tastes just as good here?
I do have a bit of a hard time when I'm going to Starbucks and spending, say, $7 to $14, depending on how many people are with me. And then knowing that it's going to a corporation. You know how we have those crunchier sides of us where we're thinking about that, where if I spend that money at a local coffee shop and I can see the owners right there, I'm I have less of a problem with that. So coffees is one. Yes, we definitely share similar values there. I have on my list full price clothing. I am a clearance / thrift / not full price clothing. Winners, always looking for the clearance rack. And even Winners in itself, I know is cheaper than it is full price somewhere. Thrifting. Love thrifting. I think I just love sometimes to just the little adventure of thrifting. But I am not spending money full price on clothes. Even for a wedding I was in last year, because I'm only going to wear the dress once, I found it on Marketplace for $50. It was my size. I didn't have to get it altered. It was so perfect. I'm in a wedding this year and I tried to do the same thing, but the color wasn't as popular, I guess. So couldn't find it, but still found one for less than $200. Fits all of the criteria, and I don't think I'll need to get it hemmed or anything. Clothing is one that you're not going to see me. I used to be have a really bad disposable income shopping problem.
Yep.
Really tamed that down. Really tamed it down.
And I'm the same. I don't spend a lot of money clothes. I will often try and find, I don't enjoy spending money on Amazon all the time. They make it so easy to find something that's a dupe of something else. And when I say clothing, I'm primarily buying athleisure stuff, athletic stuff. I'm all comfort all the way, and some dressier stuff that's appropriate to wear somewhere that doesn't look like I just went to the gym, but that's very small portion of my wardrobe. And recently went to a wedding and it's what dress do I already have in my closet that I can just pull out and rewear? And I still got lots of compliments on it because it was a completely different group from the wedding that I had worn it to before. So figuring out how to minimize what I'm spending on clothing and create that comfort. And I wear things a really long time. This was emphasized for me a couple of weeks ago when clothes that have dates on them really bring this home for me. So a couple of race shirts that I have are 2014, 2012, and the shirt is still good. Why would I stop wearing it or donate it or throw it out? Because it still fits, it still functions, it's not falling apart. So I wearing things for a really long time. And I think I read some stats recently how 20 years ago or 40 years ago, women used to buy an average of, like, I'm totally spitballing here, but an average of 6 pieces of clothing a year and wear them for like 9 to 12 years. And then
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to today, I think the number was like 26 was the average number of pieces of clothing that a woman buys in a year. And
Yeah.
that she wears them an average of 7 times before getting rid of them. And that was just like a big holy shit for me. And I can't imagine only wearing something 7 times that I invested in. So I think this is a big area where it gives us more wiggle room in our budgets because we're not spending a lot of money on clothing. And I'm not a thrifter. I do not, I have zero patience for that. So
It
bless you
is.
for having the patience for that.
It's like a game. Like you have to set yourself up to be like, I might not find what I'm looking for, and that's okay. But to your point, when it comes to like that wedding, I used to always have that energy of like, I need to get a new dress because for this
Yep.
event, I don't want to rewear something. But now I'm leaning back into look at what you have because I have a ton of dresses from that era, or ask a friend to borrow one. Like it's
Yep.
for one night because why buy something else? What's the theme right now on the internet? Under consumption.
I see a lot of people doing these like videos that are in the spirit of underconsumption, but a lot of them are like major donation piles. I'm like, no, that's not the idea of it. The idea of it is stop bringing more in. And a lot of people will make changes in their life. Like, oh, I want to be crunchier. I only want to use natural products and I want to have like reduce my impact on the environment. And they
Yeah.
will get rid of a massive amount of things. I'm like, by throwing out things that are usable products, that has a much bigger impact on the environment. Like, use up what you have. So yes,
Yes.
it's more of a minimalist trend when people are like having big closet overhauls. And yes, it's great to donate them so people like you can find them at the thrift stores. But
Mhm.
I think the underconsumption at its core is how can you use what you have and spend less to bring fewer things into the
Yes.
home? Yep.
Yes. And putting that pause in place before you're gonna go do something. Like I need to go and buy this. But like pause. I don't need a new dress for that wedding. So clothes were similar, same vibes there. I did put in here because we had talked about this. I spend little to no money on. I used to get my eyelashes done. I loved it. I found it hard to always make the time for it. I used to always get my nails done too. And it was a bit of a therapy session. So it was like I loved it as well, but then I'm looking at okay, like that's probably I had a client, she did eyelashes, nails, and hair. She was $300 to $400 a month on just personal things plus the time. So for me, like these were done myself from Amazon, and my nails were also done myself. So spending less money doing it myself, taking less time. No, it's not the same experience, but sacrificing that to know that it's the financial gain. And every now and then, yeah, I'll probably go and get them done professionally as like a treat, but it's not consistent.
Yep. Yeah. And being able to get that time back is the biggest impact. Yes, the money is great, but some of those
Yeah.
things can be a huge time commitment. And it's great if
Yes.
you've got people you go to that you enjoy that visit with, but the time to get there, the time to sit there. Yeah, it's not something that I do
Yeah.
very often. Like, I've never done lashes because I just can't imagine sitting still and having somebody poke at my eyes for that amount of time. But very once in a while, I will have a pedicure, but I'm like, I don't even usually
Yes.
paint my toenails or fingernails. And then sugaring is something I do a couple times a year. And then outside of when I go to have somebody quit, I'm doing it myself. Like,
Yeah.
I get a kit off Amazon and just sit and watch TV and torture
Do
myself
it
by ripping the
DIY.
hair out of my legs. Yeah.
Yes, yes. The other thing that would kind of loop into that is hair. Maybe once a year, have like a professional cut my hair, and it's typically just when I'm feeling like an itch. I'm like, "Ooh, I should have someone else try to cut this," and then I'm like, go back to doing it myself. So I cut my own hair. I don't dye it. That's just like my own choice. But
Yep.
I don't spend a lot of time and money on hair care in terms of like maintenance products. Even then, now that I've kind of figured out what products work for me, pretty streamlined.
Yeah. And that's like the ADHD thing too, is trying to not go down another rabbit hole of this video says that this person with curly hair is doing this. And it's something when I
Yes.
reflect on my like impulse spending in the past is I didn't necessarily like go out and buy a whole lot of random things. But when I started buying, skincare products or hair care products from a specific line, I felt like I needed to have it all. And I probably like 4 to 5 times in my life went down the, ooh, new product, give them all to me. So like essential
Yes.
oils, like some of the MLM, like hair care and skincare. It's just, I want to take care of my hair and my skin. I don't get my hair cut as often as I should. Actually, just yesterday, I was like, could I cut this myself? Like what? And I
Yes.
do.
Yes, you
I
can.
haven't dyed it in a long time, but just like, I think it might be times that I don't look quite so not blonde. I feel like a few blonde highlights might be time to put back in there. But yeah, and again, it's a time commitment too, because the hairstylist that I love, that I've followed to multiple salons, she's a drive and I love my time with her, but it's that time, and it's more of the time really than the money, because I do include it in my budget. It's just something I've
That's
gone
time.
way too long between haircuts. And because I've been not dyeing it and not straightening it the last couple years, I used to not have an option but to go get a haircut because it was all like split ends and stuff like that. But
Fried.
since I stopped like frying it, it's been a lot better. But she's due for a trim. Stay tuned for our next in-person recording where Val cuts my hair.
Like everyone, this is how I would do it. What else do you
Yeah.
have on your list, Sherry?
Restaurant meals like in the restaurant are not something that we do a lot. We typically go for more of the convenience, lower cost things. If we're just like don't have something planned for dinner, that what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And it's more like a, hop on the Subway app and see what coupons they have, what specials they have, versus
Yes.
like going to pick something up versus going in person to a restaurant. A restaurant is more similar to the coffees. Like it's when we're out with friends or when we're celebrating something is when we spend the money to go and have a meal out versus like just grabbing something quick if we're both avoiding making something for dinner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We definitely still do things like the restaurants, but it's more around an event
Yep.
or an adventure versus just like, yeah, well, let's go out tonight. It's like, no, let's get pizza or there's frozen pizza. So keeping it simple. Yep.
Yep.
Simple and convenient. Yep. I'm with you on that one. Anything else that you would add on this little to no spend list?
We don't spend a lot on monthly subscription. So currently we have Spotify. I just canceled Netflix because we've got another TV solution. But then I also remembered I did add a subscription to Kindle Unlimited recently, early July, and that has been a game changer for me. I've read more books in 2 months than I've ever read before, because usually the Kindle books, like they're less expensive. Like they're $8, $9, $15 of the like romantic ones where I always know they're going to end up together, but I like them. Just leave me alone. But I also have a Peloton membership, which is like $62-ish a month, which it gets an investment, but we don't have gym memberships. And that allows me to use the app on my phone, on my bike, on the TV. It gives me a lot of flexibility, in the variety of workouts it has are just, and the motivation it has too, that it's built in. So not a whole lot of subscriptions as far as like entertainment. The Peloton one is my most expensive one, but she's staying.
Yeah, I would say I watch our subscriptions. Like I might get it for a show, but then once we're done with that show, I'm canceling it. Like I will do that. I try not to let things run over because, as we talked about, you're never using all of them. You have them all, but you're never using them all. So cancel them, take a break, put one on when you need it, and then put it on vacation. Like just, it doesn't take that much to do. It just does take energy to do it. So take a look, see what you're spending little to no money on, see if there's something that you can kind of audit out.
And there's so many people that like to turn a subscription off and like sort of pause it for a month or 2 months and turn it, like it's relatively simple. And what will often happen too is they'll be like, hey, want to come back? We'll give you 50% off for 3 months. So just by like stepping back, they're like, how do we get this person back? And one of the things that I've been more focused on is reducing the amount we spend on electronics. So I used to be very much like every 2 years I would replace my phone. It was always functioning fine, but I would replace my phone. And I kind of thought in my mind, like, well, I'm trading this in. So the earlier I trade it in, the better deal I got, because I'm buying my phones from Apple because when you buy them through your phone provider, they force you into higher plans, and I don't like that. So I buy them directly from Apple, but I've really been focusing on like what issue is with this device and how can I repair it without replacing it. So I had my Apple Watch battery replaced earlier this year, which then made it less waterproof, which I then believe I soaked. So then it bit the dust, but it gave me a couple of more months. And like my phone's getting older. I think it's 3-4 years. I bought a refurbished iPad. So thinking about how you can maintain things versus always replacing them with electronics, but also with other things. Like we live in such it's broken by a new one.
Yes. Throw it away.
YouTube will show you how to fix it. I went down a rabbit hole of how to fix my like Roomba vacuum cleaner years ago, and I can now take that thing apart and lubricate the gears, and a specific video just how to fix it. So there's a lot of things that we can do that maintain things for longer in our lives. And one of the things too, I just said like I'll look for refurbished electronics and stuff like that. I try to avoid cheap versions of things. So like if there's this like genuine like brand that made this thing and it's got really good reviews and it's got really good quality, if there's something that's like lower cost but it's got like crap reviews, it's just like try to not do that. And then I say this, I'm reflecting on my AirPod experience. My AirPods only last for about like 45 minutes, and I've gotten back into running, and I'm going to be running longer than that. And in the mail right now are my second or third pair of Amazon dupes. I'm trying to find the replacement. And really, when I reflect on this, I probably should have just bought the Apple AirPods that I knew fit my ears, that I knew worked. I could have bought an identical one. So it's got me reflecting a little bit. Maybe I just return them and get the real ones.
I just did the same thing with a hand blender, as we talked about. I got the cheaper one. It was like $16. And I think the one that I had bought originally that I broke was maybe $25. So not that much more. But I'm like, well, this one looks good still. Absolutely not the same power. So I'm like, I should have just gotten what I knew worked. And I knew it worked well.
Yeah, sometimes trying to save $1 for things that like how they work is impactful. Like usually in a lot of situations, just investing the money for the thing you know that you can rely on is better than trying to find those deals. So I think that's all on my list today. Is there anything else on your list, Val?
That's all on my list. I think it's so interesting. Time was a big thing for us because like if you take time and fix something, it can work for you. But also we don't do certain things because it takes time. So where we value our time, what we value our time doing, and yes, finding deals, but always like also weighing out quality over quantity.
Yep. Yeah. I love that. I love that. It's just like this video, like this podcast isn't to shame you for anything that you buy. Like you buy and spend your money how you want it. And we just thought we'd share the things that we tend to avoid or not spend a lot of money on to help you kind of reflect and evaluate when you're looking at your spending to think like, do I really get as much value as the cost for these different things that I'm spending my money on?
Yes. Yes. So thanks for listening.
And we will catch you next time on the Mind of Money podcast.